Okay, today we're going to talk about fractional units of time. So we're going to look at a clock and we're going to think about fractions in relation to the clock. Now this goes back to when we were looking at clocks and we were doing turns on the clock. So it'll be similar to that. Okay, so we're going to start with 1 hour. And then we're going to break it up into 2 parts. And that's just like dividing it by 2. So if 1 hour has 60 minutes, then 1/2 hour has 30 minutes. So if I put those two together, I would get 60. So 2 parts equals an hour. And some might say it is half past the hour. Well, that means that the big hand has gone half of a rotation around the clock and it's half an hour has gone by. Now let's look at 1/4 of an hour. So that means we break the hour up into 4 equal parts. And since an hour is 60 minutes, if we divide 60 by 4, we get 15 minutes. So there's 15 minutes in each 1/4 of an hour. And sometimes people call that a quarter because a 1/4 is also equal to a quarter. So some people might say 1/4 or quarter after the hour. So if it was 9 o'clock or almost 9 o'clock, they might say it's 8:45. That means it's 15 minutes before 9 o'clock. If it was 15 minutes after 9 o'clock, they might say quarter after 9 o'clock or quarter after the hour. So we know that this is 1/4 and this is 1/4 and this is 1/4 and this is 1/4. So 4/4 make up 1 whole hour. And that's 15 minutes plus 15 minutes plus 15 minutes plus 15 minutes, and that equals 60. So when we're looking at fractional units of time, we're just talking about dividing 60 minutes by the denominator. So in this case, the denominator was 2. In this case, the denominator was 4. So we divided this one 60 by 2, and we got 30 minutes, and we divided 60 by 4, and we got 15 minutes. All right, so let's look at this clock. So here's a clock, and you can see these blue lines, and you can see there is 1 out of 3 equal parts, 1 out of 3 equal parts, and 1 out of 3 equal parts. So each of these is 1/3 of an hour. So I'm wondering how much time is in 1/3 of an hour. Now I could go ahead and I could say, oh, well, here's 5 minutes. Here's another 5 minutes, here's another 5 minutes, and another 5 minutes. So if I was to count by minutes, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there are 20 minutes in 1/3 of an hour. And it would be the same for all of the thirds. So if I asked you 1/3 of an hour has how many minutes, you would say 20 minutes. And there would be 20 minutes here, and there would be 20 minutes here. And if I did 20 plus 20 plus 20, or 20 times 3, I would get 60 minutes. So that's 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 3/3, or 1 whole hour. And it would be 20 minutes plus 20 minutes plus 20 minutes. And that would be 60 minutes, which is 1 whole hour. I could also write, oh, well, this is 3 groups of 1/3, and 3 times 1/3, well, that equals 3/3. And I could say, well, this is 3 groups of 20. So I could say 3 times 20, well, that equals 60. So I can use addition, repeated addition, or I can use multiplication if I know how much is in each group. That's the same as repeated addition. And I'm looking for it to equal 60 because there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. All right, let's move on to this one. This is 1/6. I can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. There's 3 on this side and 3 on this side. I know that in each half hour there are 30 minutes. So this is 1/6. This is 1/6. This is 1/6. 1/6. 1/6, and 1/6. Now, I can do the same thing like I did last time. I can count by fives, 5, 10, or I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I would know there are 10 minutes. Now, since I know each of these parts are equal size, I can go ahead and say each one of these has 10 minutes in it. So 1/6 of an hour is equal to 10 minutes. Now I can check myself by saying 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 6 times, or I can go ahead and say, oh, well, I know that there are 6 groups of 1/6, and that would equal 6 6. I could also say, well, there are 6 groups with 10 minutes in each group, and that would equal 60 minutes, which is 1 whole hour. 6 6 would be 1 whole hour, and 60 minutes would be 1 whole hour. I can do it either way. I could do repeated addition, or I can go into the multiplication. All right, now there are a lot of lines on this one. This one is 1/12 of an hour, so each one of these is 1/12, and I'm not going to write them all. But let's see how many there would be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How would we know that there were 12 of them? Well, we would look at the denominator, and we would say 1 out of 12. Well, there must be 12. So then I'm going to say, all right, well, I could count by fives. There's only 1 in this 12th, or I could count by ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many minutes are in 1/12? 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5, 5, 5, 5. Now, we don't often go around saying 1/12 of an hour, or 1/6 of an hour, or 1/3 of an hour. You don't usually hear that when people are talking about time. It's just not common. You do hear half of an hour or quarter of an hour. That is very common. And we could look at how many 12ths are in 1/4. We could look at how many 12ths are in 1/3 or 1/2 or 1/6. We can do that by saying 5 minutes. 1/12 is 5 minutes. And when we count on a clock like this, when we get to the next number, we know we've gone 5 minutes. So if I have a line at each one of these numbers, I know that I have a 12th of an hour or 5 minutes. Now again, I can say, all right, well, I have 12 of them, and each one is worth 1/12, so that's 12 twelfths. Then I could say, well, there are 12 of them, and there's 5 minutes in each one. So I know that that is 60 minutes, which is equal to 1 hour. So again, 1/12 of an hour is 5 minutes. If I wanted to look at 1/4 of an hour and find out how many 12ths there are, I could say, oh, well, here's 1/4 of an hour, and I've got 1, 2, 3 twelfths. So 1/4 of an hour is equal to 3 twelfths of an hour. I know 1/4, sorry about that, has 25 minutes. And I know that 3 twelfths is that was wrong. Miss Lawson said that wrong. Let me erase that. 1/4 is 15 minutes. I don't know what I was saying. And 3 twelfths is 3 times 5 minutes. And I know 3 times 5 minutes is 15 minutes. So I can see that they are equal. So just like we looked at fractions and their equivalents, like 1/4 is equal to 3 twelfths, we can look at the fractions on a clock, and that can help us to understand time. All right, now we can divide time because we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. So if I just divide it by 1, I'm going to get 60, correct? because anything divided by 1 is itself. So if I have 60 minutes and I divide it by 1, it's going to give me 60. And so this is just like looking at the factors of 60. Now, when I do my factor thing, I usually stop right there. But I wanted you to see these two down here, so I put them in. So we'll discuss that momentarily. But let's talk about the factors of 60. So then if I divided 60 by 2, or I said, oh, 2 times 30 equals 60, then those are the factors. So I can say 1/2 of 60 is 30 minutes. And then I can say 3 times 20, well, 1/3 of 60 is 20 minutes. 4 times 15, 1/4 of 60 is 15 minutes. 5 times 12, 1/5 of 60 is 12 minutes. And 6 times 10, so 1/6 of 60 is 10 minutes. And those are the factors. Now, I did these turnaround facts at the bottom, which you know I don't usually do when we're doing factors, because I wanted you to see that 1/10 of 60 is 6 minutes. And so if you wanted to find 1/10 of an hour, that is what you would do. You would just divide 60 divided by 10. It's like a turnaround fact. That equals 60. And then what I want to do is I want to say 10 times some number equals 60. I could do it that way too and use multiplication. Because especially with 10, it's easy for me to figure that one out. And then the last one is 1/12 of 60. 1/12 of an hour. We know that's 5 minutes because we just did that on that last slide. And so you can do 60 divided by 12 equals 5, or you could do 12 times some number equals 60. And we know 12 times 5 equals 60. All right, guys, that's fractional units of time. Excellent work.